I greet you folks. Welcome to another program in the series, Homo Politicus, in which we interrogate issues thrown up by the Nigerian Federation. Just so you know, today, Edo gubernatorial election, Obi exploits path of least resistance, visits Benin monarch. You know, politics, it must be stated, is a zero-sum enterprise, and so the politician must exploit any and every means to achieve his aim. In the build-up to the 2015 general election, you recall that former President Goodluck Jonathan visited the Ijebu monarch, the Awujale, at his palace. Oba Adetono told his august visitor then that no Oba in Yoruba land would compel the electorate to cast his ballot for any candidate. So ahead of the September 21st gubernatorial polls in Edo State, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Gregory Obi, on Saturday, June 15th, led the governorship candidate of the party, Mr. Olumide Akpata, a renowned barrister at law, to the Benin monarch, Oba Ewara II. Obi stressed the imperative of free, fair, and credible elections. Yes, sir. But I'm reminded in this connection of the words of the Cuban poet and philosopher Jose Marti. He said, "The first duty of man is to think for himself," end quote. Now, most of the factors inhibiting free and fair elections in our land are largely man-made, or if you like, politician-made. So let's go there. My discussant today is the unputdownable, or if you so wish, the inelastic Cyril Abaku. Cyril is a broadcast journalist and a communications expert. Cyril, I greet you.
Thank you, citizen.
Yeah, politics in Nigeria, the analyst would insist, is tainted. Do you share that sentiment?
Sure, it is. With antics, gimmicks, frankly speaking, a lot of underhanded tactics.
Yeah, largely man-made.
Yeah, of course.
In this case, politician-made.
Man conceived, politician conceived, politician executed.
Yeah.
Yes, but in the extant matter under reference, one is compelled to see the perfunctory value of it. To it that, like every other candidate would do, in the last presidential election, Peter Obi, Bola Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, all visited the Sultan of Sokoto. Not just him, a lot of them. They all need election seasons are times when the palaces of a lot of our natural leaders or rulers become
a mecca of sorts.
Meccas of sorts, yes.
Meccas of sorts, yeah.
So it is easy to understand why Olumide Akpata will visit the Oba at this time. Not least the fact that, I mean, when we read the reports.
But let me react like the everyday bystander. But the Oba or the Obi or the Sultan has only one vote.
Of course, has only one vote. But in many cases, we've seen how their tacit support or not has also weighed in on the outcome of elections. So, I mean, ignoring them could be at one's own peril.
Yes, by extension of logic, Cyril, none of those politicians will go to visit royalty empty-handed.
Well, of course, but
are you reading my mind?
Oh well, I like to think so, except that we don't have any facts to.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so
hey.
Well, let's face the matter on the table, citizen. As I was saying, the Oba of Benin is a first-rate monarch in Nigeria. It's a stool that has more historical significance, if you like, than many more of the stools we have both in Nigeria and even in Africa. It's a stool of high regard and high reckoning. I
agree, but then the Oba of Benin was, well, the father was there when the very powerful Uromi politician, Tony Aneni,
yes,
was holding sway.
Of course, our Benin does not have a political structure. Neither does he have a except that being the highest ranking ruler in the land in terms of
in that part of town.
of town. So it's inevitable
Yeah.
that in the words of Olu Akpata, it was the right place to begin to commence the campaigns. I think that if you look at Mr. Akpata's records, right from when he became the first non-SAN in 28 years to emerge as president of the NBA, I mean, that's quite a feat. We also how they carefully curated the campaign, both on social media and among lawyers. And now he was able to beat a strong field comprising Dele Additional, SAN, and Dr. Babatunde Najiba, the SAN.
Yeah.
Olu Akpata emerged. He was unlikely. He was a
the general impression is that Akpata is a very personable gentleman.
I mean, at 51, he's done a lot for himself. Growing through the ranks, learning under Mundia Gawoji, SAN, the legendary Mundia Gawoji, SAN, and then coming over to Lagos to join to team up with his cousin, who only a few years earlier had founded the Templars law firm. I mean, imagine that Akpata is employing 2 SANs to work with him at his firm. Okay, so they've done, and again, if you look at a lot of the commercial,
you think he would defer to them sometimes?
Of course, he should.
On legal matters and so on,
especially on litigation, right? Mr. Akpata has headed the NBA section on business law, which I think was pioneered by the other lawyer, George Etomi. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, he's there. He's in the pantheon. He's very much in the pantheon, okay, of the creme de la creme of Nigerian legal practice today. Again, if you look at the fact that Akpata again, I mean, King's College, you know, that Akpata as a person, when he was in the running to become president of the NBA, there was a letter that was written purportedly by the old guard. Saying that will all the big wigs in the profession sit back and allow a child that was called by yesterday to become the president of the NBA. The letter even leaked, and that became the undoing of the chances of the old guard. So if you look at what Akpata did with NBA elections, he was an unlikely candidate, but he won again. So bringing that into he's running to be governor of Edo State. What I can tell you is news is the fact that
serial politics remains a zero-sum game. You pack everything into your cannonball.
Sure, and I think that's what Mr. Akpata is doing. He looks to me like that personable fellow who knows the right boxes to tick and is looking to tick them, beginning with the master stroke, in my opinion, of going to the bar and saying, Omo no banedo, you know.
Omo no banedo.
Omo no banedo. I have come to where I need to start from. I have come to the origin, okay, to take my bearings from here. And
so, if all the governorship candidates of all parties, major parties in Edo, visit the monarch, they won't be out of step.
No, of course they won't be. In fact, I think that the monarchs also will be more than open. Because what did the monarch say when Olumide visited him? He said, it is my duty as royal father to pray and bless as many of the candidates
as visit him.
Yes, yeah. He said that. So, but then I think that the real spectacle.
That's being political. That's being political.
On the part of the royal father, yes. Yeah. But again, I think that the real meat of what happened over the weekend wasn't just about Olu Akpata going to the Abbas Palace. It was about the fact that if you saw the groundswell of public support, the tidal outpouring of people that came out, I believe in light of the butterfly effect that P2B, because it was P2B that took him to the Abbas Palace. It was like saying that they literally shot Edo beneath down.
But my idea is not to puncture your balloon in any way. Southeast, in the build-up to the governorship election, appeared to be in pole position to nick it in many states, but it ended up with only Abia.
Because in a lot of, in my language, we say that if the hand of a monkey remains in the pot for too long, it will begin to look like the hand
of the human being.
Of a human being. Okay. So you look at what happened in Enugu, for example, where results we are not sure what they wanted to do with the results. I think that yes.
Don't preempt us.
No,
we'll get there.
But at least they got it in Abia. A lot of us thought that last year's elections could have been way better.
If what?
If it had been free and entirely fair.
Let's go there.
All right.
Let's share some of the things that will make elections in my part of the world not free, fair, and credible. Voter suppression is the name of the game here. What about that?
Well, but shouldn't be. Voter suppression or voter suppressing doesn't begin on election day. Citizen Jones. Let's look at the number of unretrieved PVCs. People that couldn't pick up the PVCs for no fault of theirs, because INEC didn't do what it should have done at the time it should have done it. So that alone disenfranchised. Now I'm asking, when you adopt technology to do anything, why am I not able, since my data is already in the BVAS or whatever it is called, why can't I simply come and tender either my passport or driver's license or any other ID card that can be so approved, so that once you have that, once I flag that to you, it brings up my, or even the NIN that we have been so, so big about. The NIN should be enough to enable me vote. But do you see, in South Africa, they don't do voter registration. What they do is that they use the normal national register of citizens to simply, cast the ballot.
Still, you couldn't say that the Nigerian country is, or rather belongs to the 10th century. We are playing catch-up in a 21st century world.
Please. I think that by choice.
Are we playing catch-up by choice?
We are not even playing catch-up, sir. We have deliberately chosen to go to remain primitive, remain primal.
By choice.
Sure, of course, because now you have the driver license should have helped us, going a long way. You have NIN, you have BVN, you have your phone, your.
So where is the problem?
Your phone numbers. What is that political people who win elections by keeping us in a limbo will never make any serious effort to harmonize us into a national, common, single database. They will not do it because it won't pay them.
Okay.
It won't pay them.
Are you not scandalized that in a 21st century world, we say it is knowledge-based? Are you not scandalized that ethnic politics is still on the cards?
It is on the cards, but let's even look at this. The fact that I think Labour Party to an extent, became a party or has become a party that tries to galvanize and bring Nigerians together in a way that maybe we hadn't seen before. The APC.
You mean the Labour Party?
Sure.
Let me go there with you.
Okay.
Labour Party is, in my estimation, too young to be experiencing the teething problems it is going through.
Well,
that's by choice.
No, but there's no science in political science or social science to determine at what point a party should have teething problems.
Oh, really?
Howsoever infant it may be.
So you agree with Otto von Bismarck, who said politics is not an exact science.
It is not. And that is why
it is a behavioral science.
Exactly. And it is the reason we ought not to put things in boxes, okay? Like saying that they are too infant in their infancy to be going through what they're going through. And this is even without prejudice to the argument as to whether what they're going through is organic or not, whether it is sponsored or natural. But let me keep that aside. In Edo State, what we saw over the weekend should give anybody cause for, I think, well, is it concern or joy? Because Nigerians don't follow people who don't give money. We've seen this over and over again. You'll be told that to win a governorship election in Nigeria today, you need no less than, about 4 or 5 years ago, it was 6 billion naira.
Yeah.
6 billion.
Have they upped the ante?
Of course, now with inflation, The voters you used to buy for 5,000 naira before, you can't buy them for that amount anymore. The money has got to be more. So for a candidate, I mean, for a people to be a Southeasterner leading Akpata to visit the Oba of Benin in Akpata's own home state, that for me looks like some sort of thing we should be looking at and saying, wow.
So let me introduce this here. It's an Ibibio proverb. You send Pekin to buy cigar, then you follow and won't go buy the cigar. So if you could have gone to buy the cigar, why did you send him?
No. Now this is the point, because again, you see, we cannot bring that proverb and transplant it.
The proverb is not relevant here.
It may amount to transliteration or false translation, as you have false friends in translation.
Okay, take this one.
But let me.
Your dog barks at you, and you are told by a neighbor. It be like say somebody else they feed your dog.
For your own dog to bargain at you. It may also mean that you have not taken that dog obedience training.
Oh, really?
As ought to be the case. Yes. Because if you took your dog obedience training, he will obey you. So a behavioral science is not an exact science, because human foibles always come into the picture.
Oh, yeah.
But in Edo, what we saw in Edo State, I think, is sending jitters down the spine for the APC and the PDP. I say this at the risk of being seen as
let me tear that bag a little. In Edo State, we have had more governors from Edo South than Edo North or Edo Central. We have had the second
Republic,
the second ranking governorship listing. The second listing would come from Edo North. That's Oshomole. Where is Akpata from?
Well, I think that I understand.
Should that not come into the picture?
No. It may not come into the picture for very obvious reasons. Citizen Jones, Akpata is a lawyer. Sometimes when it is convenient for us, we make moral arguments. When it is not, we look at the law.
But you know, politicians think differently.
Nigerian
and
law.
The politician has educated the politician in my country, your country, has educated the electorate enough to know
Yes.
to know what to do.
Yes, but politician or not, what the law envisages is that it anticipates a candidate that will emerge from the masses, from the voters, from the ballot, not from an ethnic region. Because we've seen cases where we say, let us.
Can we really eschew religion and region from our body politics?
The argument, some primordial sentiment they're making in Edo State, is to say that Olumide Akpata don't sound like
your everyday Edo name.
And that even the candidate he took as deputy, the lady, I think, what Oluyinka something. But do you know, Citizen Jones? It's like saying that no Southerner can win an election in the North, especially in Kano. It's sacrosanct. Can I tell you, sir? Debatably so, Awolowo beat Shagari in Kano. And undebatably so, Abiola beat Tofa in Kano. Right? So the argument about because of your name or because of where you come from, Olumide schooled, he even left, he graduated from Uniben. Born and bred in Edo State. Okay? So I don't understand the argument about...
But groomed in Lagos.
Well, of course, which is fine. Obaseki, where was Obaseki groomed? Lagos. Where was, what was his name? Answer Godalo, where was he groomed? Lagos as well. In fact, Answer is in such a place that they are saying he cannot even speak
a dialect.
Meanwhile, of Akpata, it was said that he greeted the Oba in the native dialect. So arguably, what we're looking at is a matter of people who are claiming we are all sons of the soil, whether we are born or groomed outside. For me, I think that in setting the agenda for the electorate come September, November, let there be a clear ideological separation of the candidates. People should know who is who. Okay? and to be able to vote based on their conscience, conviction, and for competence.
Yeah, let me drop this other one. Another impediment to free, fair, and credible elections would be the emasculation of the journalist and related matters.
Well, the journalist being emasculated hasn't always been the fact that he hasn't been given room to report what he sees. I think that the actual challenge
He is intimidated in some cases.
And you will see all kinds of articles flying on our national dailies, very skewed.
Sponsored.
So when the journalist is exposed to such vulnerabilities, that for me I think is the real... Look, we need to be... when we say 40% of the... We need to be journalists who don't report what's not going on. And who don't report news on partisan lenses, because that way we can become part of the problem instead of helping to solve the problem.
Yeah, but you know, many of our colleagues have taken sides.
They very much have.
Openly so.
They very much have. I told you, I mean, you only need to look at...
That will impede free and fair elections.
No, not... See, it will first of all impede perception, because perception drives persuasion and conviction to vote. So when you start hearing all kinds of tribal arguments, sentimental arguments of very mundane things, right? Like I told you, arguments about saying Olumide and two Olus can't be governor of Edo State. What you need in Edo State are people who are competent, who have the qualification, who have the character to deliver in office. So whoever that becomes.
And what does the electorate need? A governor who comes to ease the burden on them.
Yes,
that's all.
Exactly.
Nothing. It's no magic.
Whether he is young or old is inconsequential, right? As far as his emergence is in keeping with the law, is this son of the soil? Yes. Can he do the job? Yes. Does he have a track record? Yes.
But even after all that, Cyril, because we must go, time is tight here. Even after all that, the day of election belongs to the voter, the electorate.
That's where we're going. And that now that they can, in fact, let's even make this out, let's even put this out there. Now that the campaign season is open, please, don't sponsor any talk, don't sponsor any hooligan, don't engage in mudslinging. Campaign on issues, campaign on ideas, campaign on manifesto, campaign on ideology. This way we can be sure that when the voters go to vote, they will vote based on the strength of your message and not just on the strength of your money or of your violence.
And remember as well, the medium, they say, is a message. Our medium remains Enterprise TV. Cyril, is it possible to wrap your thoughts in 60 seconds, beginning now?
Of course. Again, I would say this. Olumide Akpata is not the only candidate in the race. You have Monday Okpebholo of the APC and Anso Ighodalo of the PDP. All three men, including all the other parties, should campaign strictly on ideas, strictly on programs, strictly on ideology, strictly on distinction, to show that if I became governor of Edo State, I can deliver on the job, and no more than that.
On the promises made.
And not to sponsor violence, sponsor thuggery, buying of votes and so on. Let's eschew these things and let's focus on what matters.
And please add one advice. Nigerian politicians tend to be sore losers.
In fact, I have to add and say that Edo comes first. Whether you win or lose is not the issue. Edo comes first. We want Edo State to give us an election in which the other counterparts won't be pushed to go to court.
Yeah.
Because that may be another very long... Already, it is bad enough that Edo State is...
long drawn out...
It is bad enough that Edo State is already on the list of states that are in the off-cycle election season. Can we, for once, do something different and make sure that our state, that Edo State, opens a new chapter?
We're saying Edo now. This is plenty of respect to Ondo, which is also coming.
Yes.
I think Ondo is November. So we're out of time. We must pack it all in. But not before thanking my guest, Cyril Abako. Many thanks.
My pleasure.
Politics is here, and so we wish our brothers and sisters in Edo State all the best. Bye-bye now, until the next time. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.